or I can just welcome him to the Rich Eisen Show. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Thank you for that. That is a unique introduction. Thank you for bringing me up in that way.
We have mutually agreed to come together as host and guest. Bill.
Does that mean we're just being forced to do this? Is that okay?
Well, I hope not. I hope not.
We're good.
You're here of your own volition, which is outstanding.
I am.
Good to see you. Pro Football Hall of Famer and NFL on CBS. Owen Bill Cowher right here on the program. Good. Let's give the appropriate round.
Bill Cowher, I saw him at a Yankee game over the summer.
What do you mean? Say I saw him? He's listening.
Sorry, I saw you at a Yankee game, Bill. Didn't want to bother you, but you are very much taller in person than I. You're on the list.
Oh,
taller than you think.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
What's all those big guys you're around when you're on the sideline? But
that's right.
And if I was looking down to you, you were probably like a receiver or a kicker.
Maybe so. Running back.
I think that tracks.
Bettis. Bettis. You're looking down. Is that a bust? Is that your replica?
That's a bust. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a bust. It's a bust. And this is this one right here.
Yeah.
The trophy.
Yeah.
Is the Baker Awards trophy I won as a Special Teams Player of the Year for the Philadelphia Eagles back in 1983.
No.
Yeah, it is. So very proud of that. My 100th ball and then my my bust. Yeah.
So wait a minute. Walk me through that trophy from '83. Who did you take out? Who did you take out on special teams, Coach?
Anybody and everybody. So I mean, listen. I blocked a kick against Ali Haji Sheikh, and guess
wow,
what a name from the past.
And that was the Giants. And guess who the special teams coach was? Bill Belichick.
Belichick, that's right. Mayock tells me all the time that when he walked in, Mayock was a special teamer for the Giants. Heck yeah, he was.
We went against each other. We were in the same time.
You met in the wedge? Did you meet in a wedge? Did you and Mayock meet in a wedge?
Huh? He ran around me. I was a little bigger than him, so he would not run through me. He was probably running around me.
Is there any special aspect to the terrible towel to your right, or
no,
is that
it's
just terrible towel?
It's a terrible towel, which I just think has gone down through the years, and that in memory of Myron Cope.
Yep.
Just the memories. I think I've signed so many terrible towels down through the years, and it was just appropriate to have that there. This is actually up there. That's a picture up on this side. Okay, right here. Yeah. That guy with 21 is Alan Haller, who was his AD at Michigan State. That was my rookie year, a portrait taken of me talking to the team after a practice and training camp. So it's pretty interesting. So I think it just goes all the way back down through the years.
Our radio audience has returned here on ESPN Radio. That's the voice of Bill Cowher, who joined us during our Disney Plus ESPN streaming port of our television show commercial break from CBS, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Good to see you, Coach. I'm just wondering, again, your run to the Super Bowl, you've been part of runs before from wild card road game weekend opportunities. Is this, you're a perfect guy to ask this question to, the most wide open playoff field that you could remember, perhaps even from your coaching days, where truly anybody can go on wild card weekend, win on the road, and go on a run to the Super Bowl right now?
I don't think there's any question about that, Rich. I think if you look, and since this format of 14 teams now instead of 12, and now we have 7 seeds that are in there, and this is the third year of that. I look at those 2 7 seeds, the Green Bay Packers going to the Chicago Bears. I'm telling you, that's a divisional game. I think Green Bay Packers are going to go in there healthy. I know Matt LaFleur rested his guys last week. The Bears, maybe not playing their best those last couple of weeks. They can still run the football. I give them a chance big time to go into Chicago and win that. And for the Chargers, Justin Herbert, you can say what you want. They lost those 3 tackles early in the season. Mm-hmm. It's been kind of a makeshift offensive line. But the time clock in Justin Herbert's head, I think, has sped up down through the years. So he's gotten used to maybe throwing the ball quicker than he wants to, and then maybe having to evade. This is the best defense he's had going into a football game in terms of the playoffs. And so it's time for him to do it. But you're also going against the New England Patriots, maybe one of the most balanced football teams. You talk about the AFC side of the ball.
The Bills in the AFC and the Niners in the NFC. The 5 seeds are the Rams in the NFC and the Texans, who have the longest winning streak in the National Football League going into the playoffs. I mean, seriously, everybody's got to have their heads on a swivel. this
Yeah, I
weekend.
mean, I don't think there's any question that it is wide open from 1 to 7. I think you can even talk about the fact that Seattle and Denver, they're right there with the rest of those guys. There's been no separation. I think you got a group of teams in there. They're slotted in certain places, and I think that's what makes the playoffs great, particularly this round, Rich. I always said, you get to the playoffs and it's 0-0. All you got to do is win 3 games if you got the bye, 4 weeks, 4 games if you don't get the bye. And whether you play on the road or you play at home, to me, it's just you got to beat everybody anyway. And that's why I liked even what Nick Sirianni did this past week. I could have got a 2nd seed. I don't care, but he put health over matchups. And I think that's the way you have to do going into the playoffs. Go as healthy as you can, and then play over. You have to slay every dragon along the way. And if you have to beat them all, because to me, there's only one champion. There's 31 other teams that are vying for that position.
Put a pin in that for a second, because I do want to revisit that what you just said about Sirianni. But in what we're in the vein of what we're talking about here, the bye week, it's great for rest, it's great for health. And it's great because you don't have to win 4 playoff games to win it all. You have to win 3. So you're a step closer to the ultimate prize. But this week, again, the bye week may be most important because you avoid the fray of this weekend where anybody can win. There's just no question about that.
But you also, the other thing that the bye week, you lose is momentum. I mean, there's one thing, because you lose that game, you lose a bye week, but if you have the momentum going in, that's why I go back and to say the one thing I always looked at every year, and this was the Commanders a year ago, and it's been the Philadelphia Eagles this year. Sometimes a 3-game losing streak, which we experienced the year we won our championship, we were 7-2, went to 7-5, had to win our last 4 to get in, and then went on the road 3 times and won the championship. We won 8 straight games. I saw that with the Commanders a year ago. They went to the championship game. I see that with the Eagles this year. That 3-game loss they had the last 2 weeks in November and the first week of December, I think that depth have made them a better football team. They had to do some serious soul searching. So sometimes the depths of despair can reach the heights of hope. I just think sometimes you have to go really low to get really high. And that's how I looked upon our run that we had in 2005. And I see that kind of the same parallels where the Eagles are. And they've been there before. No one's talking about them. I think the running game's coming back. Yes, those questions are going to exist on the offensive side of the ball, but that is a very, very special defense. And again, they are still the defending champs.
Well, then let's remove that pin, because, didn't Sirianni, in a way, stunt his own momentum by not playing guys in the last week of the season, where I understand health is important, and it is the fans who game the system in their heads about we'd rather play this team rather than that team. But the 2 seed means if you win your wild card game, you get another one at home. The 3 seed doesn't guarantee that, Bill.
No, and it doesn't. Whether you play at home on the road, though, I want the healthiest team I can have going in. And I think to be able to give a guy like Jalen Carter, and you give Lane Keith another chance to rest a little bit, Saquon a chance to step back. Same thing with Jalen. So I am all in on the fact that if you don't, we had to win our week 17. I would have rested my guys too, but we had to win to get into the playoffs. They didn't have to. They were in the playoffs, and so he took it and said, you know what? I'm going to take this as my bye week, and now all I got to do is win 4 games. Yeah, I got 1 at home, and I got maybe 2 on the road, and I'm going to the Super Bowl. So he wanted to make sure they're as healthy as they can be. I totally am all in on what he did in terms of, don't worry about the seeding. You're going to have to beat everybody anyway. I don't care who it is and where it's at. It doesn't matter. If you're going to win a championship, it's about who you're playing and thus being healthy as you can, not where you're playing.
Bill Cowher, Pro Football Hall of Famer, and NFL Today on CBS, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. What do you think of? What goes through the Bill Cowher temples when you hear out of Western PA, Mike Tomlin's got to go? Bill?
Well, unfortunately, I think that happens when you, again, set the bar really high. And I've been there before. I mean, I know I went to the playoffs my first 6 years, and, you go to a Super Bowl, and all of a sudden you go to the championship games, and you lose all the championship games. And the longer you're in it, sometimes you become a victim of your own success and the expectation and all of your message is getting old. So, listen, I think the biggest thing for Mike, the noise on the outside is a lot greater than the noise on the inside. And I think, again, he's a guy that he thrives in those conditions. He thrives on being the underdog, and being kind of challenged and been backed into a corner. I think you're seeing the same thing a little bit with Aaron Rodgers, a little bit of a chip on their shoulders, and they've aligned themselves. And so this a football team. Again, it's interesting, Rich, when you talk about this game, because you talk about the Houston Texans. They got the longest winning streak coming in. Then everyone talks about the Houston Texans being a team that nobody wants to play. But then let's just look on the other side. The Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday Night Football. The last time they lost was 1991. Okay? That was Chuck. I never lost in my 15 years. Mike's never lost in his 19 years. So Houston may not be the team you want to play in the playoffs, but Pittsburgh may not be the team you want to play on Monday night. So we'll see. Something's going to have to give here.
I don't know how much contact you have with Mike, but and I understand outside noise doesn't get in the building, but it's been very noisy outside of that building, and all it took also was just one loss in Cleveland in Week 17 to bring it back up prior to the Week 18 finale that the Steelers won. For various reasons, from obviously that missed field goal at the end, but Aaron Rodgers having the best quarter of his Steelers year for sure. And so it does feel like if it doesn't go their way on Monday night, there'd be another conversation about should this be the end of the road in Pittsburgh, Bill. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think those are the hypotheticals that exist every year. And I think the one thing is that Pittsburgh is not impulsive. I think that Mike's not impulsive. I think you take some time, you step away, and then you just see what's in the best interest of everybody. I think if Mike leaves, it's going to be a choice that he has. I think the same can be said about John Harbaugh. I think these are two coaches that have been in the same place for a very long period of time. They've had tremendous success, and they've earned the right to be able to say, you know what, and if you think the message is still, but they still have, you see their teams performing, you see their teams responding in the biggest of stages, and that could very easily have been John Harbaugh walking off the other day if the kid makes the kick. So, again, these guys have had sustained success. They're very, very good coaches. They've been the integral parts of these organizations. So those aren't always easy conversations to have. And I think I always would like to give people 24, 48 hours when it's all said and done, let the emotions get out of it, have a chance to sit back and reflect, and let's just sit down and have conversations about moving forward. Where are we going to go, the directions we need to go, the things that need to be done, and do I want to be a part of that process? And if it's sometimes, as you talked about, you said, down in Washington, there's a parting of ways. You sit there with, Dan Quinn, and all of a sudden you have their offensive coordinator, Kingsbury, and they're going to meet and say maybe it's time for change. And so, listen, I had to make a lot of changes on staff down through my 15 years. And I sometimes didn't have the numbers to quantify the change outside of the fact that I just felt like we needed to have change in the building. And that doesn't always just apply to assistant coaches. It can apply to head coaches as well. So, and they may be prompted by the head coach. So again, I think those are things that when you're on the inside, and there's a lot of things that are involved with it. And I think, again, when you're involved with the playoffs, you're not listening to that because you're kind of on this one-track mind right now because you're this close. You put in too much time and effort to talk about that. But I think when it's all said and done at the end of the season, taking at least 48, 72 hours off, then come back and talk about it, remove the emotion, don't become impulsive in saying something or doing something that you really haven't put a lot of thought into. So I think that'll be the thing that'll happen, I think, in Pittsburgh. And again, whenever it does end, and probably the thing that's taking place right now, even in Baltimore.
Well, I mean, yeah. Do you have any insight on how you obviously do. Can you lend me any insight on how the Rooneys operate on this front from that side of things with their remarkable level of patience? And do they stay completely out of it? Are there no such conversations on this front during the playing season?
No, during the season, no. I mean,
right.
And for what reason? I mean,
right.
During the season, we're just trying to win a game. I mean, the next week. So that is not taking place. But in the off seasons, and even in years that we had losing seasons, we took some time off. And like I said, I told you, we took 48, 72 hours.
Right.
You have the exit meetings that took place. You're talking to the players. You're talking to the coaches. And then at the end of that week, after you had a week off, 3 or 4 days, let's sit down and talk. When everyone's out of the building, we give everybody else off the rest of the week. Let's come in and sit down in this office and kind of get some talk about where are we? Can we agree on how we want to move forward? Do we want to move forward together?
With the Rooneys at one point, do we want to move forward together? I mean, did you have that
Well,
during
I
your
don't.
tenure?
I don't think it was actually said that way,
Right.
but I think there's implications as to
Mm.
where are we. I mean, there's some moves that we want to make, and can you agree with these moves? And so there's a lot of conversations about, again, change that may want to be had, and can you agree on that change moving forward? Same conversations you have. You talk about putting a team together, a staff together. There's always going to be back and forth, and you kind of want everyone to have their own separate opinion. It's not just one person saying doing it this way. So there's got to be, again, a chance to reflect and to get on what just took place, and a chance to ponder moving forward where you want to go, and and how strongly you feel about certain things.
I'm kind of also stunned here, Bill. Before I let you go, because the conversation is that maybe Tomlin would want to take a year off if it doesn't go well, and go hit the media. You've been with CBS since 2007. You haven't lost a game in almost 20 years.
19 years. Yeah, 19 years.
Wow. And that's the beauty of, like, Mooch hasn't lost a game in 20 years. You haven't lost a game in 20 years. Jimmy Johnson, who just stepped away from media, like that's part, like, you're involved in the game. You're going to be in everybody's living rooms, certainly to kick off Sunday on CBS.
Yeah, but let me just say this. So we also have had Mike Vrabel take off a year last year, and he came back. We had Sean Payton 2 years ago take off a year and go to Fox, and he came back. So it's in your blood. I mean, once you do it for a long period of time, once you have success doing it, it's not easy to stay away. And again, I walked away on my own. I had many opportunities to come back, but I also kind of prioritized normalcy. And I think the one thing that happens, I love New York City. I mean, having a normal life, being able to go grocery shopping in New York City, walk up and down, and have that, anonymity, that was important to me. And I realized that I had kind of lost that in Pittsburgh. And when I kind of got it back, I said, wow, there's a different side of life where I can enjoy an off season. I can do a little bit of traveling. I can go to Broadway shows or go to concerts. And again, just have more of a normal life than you did before. I prioritize that. As much as I missed coaching and missed strategizing, I missed being with the players, missed being with the coaches, missed those Sunday afternoons. I actually missed, even at times, losing and people tell me, "Oh, you guys are done." Oh, great! It's all I needed to hear, because I'm going to come back and be your worst nightmare. So, I love to compete, and I think that's the biggest thing. Because the great coaches, they love competition, they thrive on it, and they embrace it, and that's why you get back to the corner. The great ones, you see the very best come out of it, and so, again, you don't get that doing this on TV, but you also have an opportunity to have a voice, to be kind of a guardian of the game. In my opinion, that's what I look at myself as, to make sure that I try to give the insight to the viewers as to what we see it on the outside may not be exactly how it's being perceived on the inside. And there's a lot of other things that are involved, whether it was an overthrow by the quarterback or maybe a bad route by the receiver, a blown coverage because of miscommunication. So whatever it is, that's kind of part of the game. And trying to work through those things has kind of become the journey every one of these teams are taking right now on this wild card weekend. Is they've gone through these journeys, and sometimes those pitfalls may end up being the thing that propels you to another level of greatness. So it's just great, so many great storylines in this weekend. And, again, it's always a tough day. The day after our last game, you have Black Monday. We have 6 openings right now. And, so who knows? And there's always usually a surprise one later on. Who knows where that could come from? But that's the National Football League. I mean, the only thing constant in the NFL is change.
That's one way to put it, for sure. When was the last time you got a tire kicked on you this time of year to see if you'd want to come out? Was it, how long has it been?
No.
How long has it been?
It's
long time.
Oh, yeah, it's been. I mean, I think I've answered. I think the word got out, and I was saying no, and I think people quit asking. So, yeah, but I talk to a lot of people, Rich. And I love the game more than I love any team, to be quite honest with you. And I love to be able to be a voice of reason. And if coaches reach out, sometimes I give them my opinion, whether they know if they ask me, they're going to get the truth, and it's not going to be something they want to hear. Sometimes it might be what they need to hear. And so I think that's why I appreciate the fact I'm pretty straightforward with what I see and how I feel. I may not be right. They may see it a different way, but if you ask me, I'll just give you my opinion. I love the game of football and got great respect for it from the standpoint of how it's played, who's coaching it. And all I understand, too, the challenges that you can't see on the outside that you're dealing with on the inside. And sometimes those things need to stay on the inside, but it can be very challenging. And, and sometimes those decisions that you have to make in terms of whether it's a clock management, it's a certain play, a certain player that you have to part ways with, a certain coach you have to part ways with, or being willing to be flexible enough to change systems at times, because this is the way of the National Football League. You got to be able to adapt and adjust, firm in your core values, but flexible in applying them.
Well, I would have loved to have seen you back on the sideline one last time, Bill, trying to show a ref they blew a call by trying to jam a tablet in his shirt pocket. I don't think it would fit these days. You know what I mean?
Nope. But I would not have changed at all. I would let them know how I felt, as I always did then. But I love their work. I appreciate their efforts. Sometimes they just don't always see the game the same way I did.
I bet. And I love watching you on CBS. Have a great time with James and
thank you.
And the rest of the crew there, Matt, and tell Nathaniel I said hello too. Will you please?
Yes, I will. Tell Mooch I said hi.
I will do
Mooch
it.
And I had some good battles, man.
I love it. Yeah, I know. You probably won most of them. Listen to Bill Cowher right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Great to see you. Look for more of my calls before the Super Bowl. I'd love to get your thoughts on that.